Hi piano people. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to 10x any chord jump in any piece in just 2 simple steps. What do I mean by 10x? By the end of this video, you'll be able to take these 2 simple steps and apply them to any chord jump in any piece. And if you do it correctly, those jumps will be 10 times faster, 10 times smoother, and 10 times better. Welcome to Ashley on the Music Studio, where you're going to learn how to practice smarter, not harder. Let's dive in. And we're splitting this up into 2 simple steps because the first step is going to address the chords themselves and how to play each chord with accuracy every time. The second step is going to address the actual jump to ensure that you can land on the correct chord every single time you're doing a jump. So step 1 is called chord blocking, and it fixes many issues with chords, but the top 2 being 1, being able to find the notes of the chord a lot faster, and 2, being able to actually play the notes of the chord accurately really quickly. Let me show you how to do it. I'm going to demonstrate step 1 using the Chopin Prelude in E minor as an example. It sounds like this. There's this part in this piece that is famously difficult. It's when we get down to measure 17, and I'm going to show you what this sounds like. So I'm going to start at measure 16. This is the part that's challenging. And that's the part, because right here, your left hand has to jump from an octave all the way up to this 4-note chord. And usually the way that people go about doing a jump like this is they play the first chord or the first note, and then when they go to jump to the next chord, they slide across the keys and they wait for each individual finger to find each individual note, and then they play the chord. But the trouble with this is that by the time you do that in action in the piece, you've lost way too much time and you have a huge pause. And so it usually sounds like this. And all of a sudden, everything sounds really robotic. There's pauses. It doesn't sound good. So let's use chord blocking to fix it. Chord blocking is going to help us remember the shape of this chord so that instead of sliding across the keys and trying to find each individual note, you'll be able to make that shape of the chord in the air so that you can land there with accuracy and ease every time. So in order to do this, you're going to take every single combination of 2 notes at a time within the chord, and you're going to contract your muscles to really get the shape of the chord into your muscle memory. Let me show you. So let's start with the bottom 2 notes, which are C and A. I'm gonna play these 2 notes, and I'm going to contract my muscles, almost like I'm trying to weight lift this A and this C off the piano. I'm gonna hold it for a couple seconds and then shake it out. I'm gonna do it again. Shake it out, and I'm gonna do it about 3 times in a row until I start to feel like the spacing between those 2 notes is really ingrained in my muscle memory. Then I'm going to take the next 2 notes, which would be C and F sharp. This one is tricky because they're nice and far apart. So I'm gonna slide my finger out to the outside of that black key so I can really contract the muscles and then shake it out. And then again, those 2 notes, really contract the muscles, shake it out. One more time. Okay, then I'm gonna take the next group of 2 notes, which would be the F sharp and the A. So now I'm gonna slide this finger on the outside of the black key. That always works for black keys, so you can really contract the muscles, shake it out, contract the muscles, shake it out, and one more time. Now at any point, if you're experiencing pain, you're gonna stop this, right? You're just gonna stop, you're not gonna go on. Something is not right. You want it to feel like you're lifting weights, so it might be slightly uncomfortable, but there should be no pain, and you're not going to do this for more than a few minutes at a time. Now we've done every combination going up. So we did the bottom 2, the middle 2, the top 2, but now let's do the other variations of different pairs of notes. So I could do the bottom note and the second to top note. That's a big stretch. And you're gonna wanna make sure you're using the right fingers here. Obviously on the right notes, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, one more time on that one. And then I'm going to take the second note and the top note. That's another combination of notes. Do that one 3 times. We're contracting, we're shaking it out, contracting the muscles, shaking it out. And then there's also the octave spread on the outside. So I can do that one, contract, shake it out. And that's probably enough for now. You can always come back to the chord at another point. But after you've done chord blocking with every variation of pairs of notes, you'll notice that when you go to play that chord, your hand knows the shape. Your hand can predict the shape, and that's the goal with chord blocking, is on the way to the chord, my hand is actually already making that shape. So I'm not searching for each individual note when I get there. My hand already makes the shape and I can land on it. I can literally find that shape out of thin air. Now you'll do that for each chord within about a measure or so. I don't really recommend doing it for more than 3 or 4 chords in a row because your hand will get tired. And if you do it for too many chords in a row, you risk injury. And once you are done with step 1, which is chord blocking, we're gonna go on to step 2, which is flash practicing the jumps. Let me show you what I mean. You're always going to do this one jump at a time. So for this piece, we're gonna take the first octave in the left hand on the first beat of measure 17, and we're just going to practice jumping to this chord. Now, in this piece, in other spots, you would then, of course, practice other jumps this exact same way. But because this is the jump we're using, we're going to start here and we're going to focus on just this one jump. Now, in order to do this, you need to know exactly how to choreograph the jump. You heard me mention that oftentimes people will slide across the keys. And this makes sense because it's terrifying to leave the keys. And so we think we're finding like safety and security in staying on the keys. But similarly to if you were trying to shoot a cannonball to reach a far distance, you would not roll the cannonball on the ground, right? You would find the arc and the height of the arc that you would need to hit with that cannonball in order to aim it and get it to land where you wanted it to go. The same is true with our chord jumps. We want to arc, and I'm going to exaggerate this so you can see it on the camera, instead of sliding across the keys. So with every single jump, you can always calculate your arc in a very simple way. You're going to take the first chord and the second chord, and we're gonna take the distance of our thumb. So our thumb is going from the B all the way up to this A, and it's almost 2 octaves. I go past this B and almost up to this second B. So that's pretty far. And when you calculate your jumps, you're going to want to do it with like the thumb to the thumb or the pinky to the pinky. You always want to stay consistent with the finger that you're using if possible. So I'm going to take that jump and I'm going to cut it in half. So the halfway point is about here. And so let's say like from here to here, I don't have a ruler on me, but this is probably about, I don't know, a little over a foot, maybe like 15 inches. So my jump is going to have to go about 7.5 inches in the air, right? So I can take half this distance, and that is how high I need to jump in order to land that chord every single time. So the way that I'm going to practice this is I'm actually going to keep my right hand right here, and I'm going to do the jump a couple times, making the arc, ensuring that my left hand actually touches my right hand at the halfway point. And I'm going to get that feeling into my muscle memory a few times so that I get comfortable jumping up that high, right? And then I can do the flash practice. So the flash practice is where I take that first chord and I make it as light and short as possible. And I land on that second chord in a very accented and heavy way without hesitation. That was a good one. Now I'm gonna do this probably 10 times in a row, but I wanna take space and time between each iteration to reset my brain, reset my hand. So that was the first time. Let's see if I can do it again. Nice, that was the second time. That was the third time. I'm gonna take a little space, I'm gonna take a little break. At any point, if you're doing flash practice like this and you're finding that you're pausing in the air, you're not doing it correctly. If you're finding that it's taking you a really long time to find the notes of the chord before you land, you're not doing it correctly. Notice it's fast and there's no hesitation, and I am going for that chord. I'm trusting that because in step 1, I learned the shape of the chord, I am trusting that my hand can find the shape of that chord and land on it immediately. Whoop, that was almost inaccurate. I almost played that note. Let's try it again. It's getting a little inaccurate. At which point I might pause, take a break for the day. The next day I'd go back to the chord blocking again and go back to this flash practice again. The point is you want to try to get it so that you can do that flash practice jump really quickly about 10 times in a row without error. You can go back to each of these steps for many days in a row until it becomes easy. And the beautiful thing is that once you go to put it together, your jump isn't going nearly as fast as it was when you flash practiced it. So in the context of the piece, it's going to be significantly easier to play, and you're going to find these chord jumps truly are 10x'd after you do these 2 steps a few times in a row. I want to stress that this isn't something that you can handle in one practice session, but it also isn't something that needs to take you a ton of time. The beauty is that because you're only going to be practicing a few chords at a time, if you just address this for 3 to 4 minutes during each practice session, within a week or a couple of weeks, depending on the piece, you are going to be playing all of your chord jumps accurately. You are going to have 10x'd all of your chord jumps. The reason that this works is because you are playing all of the chords and all of the jumps with a very high level of accuracy from the very beginning stages. And it's a total game changer. Now, if you want to be able to memorize all of your chord inversions so that when you come across chords and pieces, it's a lot easier for you to know what they are and know how to play them, check out this other video that I did that teaches you exactly how to memorize your chord inversions. I'm going to link it right here on the end screen along with a free workshop that I taught on sight reading a few months ago. If you haven't seen it yet, you're gonna wanna snag it for sure, because in this free workshop, you're going to learn the 3 simple steps to sight read with more accuracy and flow every single time. You can grab that free workshop and the chord inversion video right here on the end screen. Happy practicing.